Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3424. Today's date is May 22, 2025. It's been almost like a night at 10:07 p.m. All right, we directly jump into the question. Okay, yeah. Question is, how can I identify a business idea that align with local market needs? Okay, yeah. How do I identify my business idea that align with the local market need? Okay, first of all, is that key. Um, okay, so what exactly is this question? Okay, I wanted to first of all, I wanted to execute my business in the future. I didn't really know anything regarding about the business and stuff like that. I have to knew about what is actually business and how do I supposed to execute. I have to be pre-planned to myself that ki how do I supposed to execute everything. Okay, yeah. So for that particular purpose, I will gonna ask multiple questions to myself to regarding about business, regarding about like am I be able to do that thing or not? Okay, try to figure it out, kind of like a simply problem as well as solution to, and how there are a lot of things. Okay, yeah. So regarding about this question, like the question is actually based on the business ideas. So question is that ki, how can I identify the business idea align with the local market? All right. So basically, I have business idea. Okay, yeah. What is actually business idea? First of all, is that key? Okay, the things that you are actually hearing is called artifact episode. What exactly is that? It's a kind of like a something that key, the people who actually write their journal every day. Okay, yeah. This is what exactly is it? Like it's a kind of like a simply journal, but instead of writing, I'm just recording audio form. Okay, yeah. So I'm doing this kind of like an artifact for almost like a decade. Okay, I started in this thing in 2015. It's been 2025, so yeah, it's been decade. I did this thing for every single day, and because of this thing, it added so much value inside of me. It felt really good. Regarding about this is my idea. Okay, like I didn't really understand regarding about how do you supposed to execute this idea. Like my thought is that okay, what if I could make a app so that people will gonna record their artifact and they will kind of like share that artifact in my artifact platform, kind of like a simply YouTube. Okay, yeah. Like basically in the YouTube you will gonna make your video, upload your video on YouTube platform, and people will gonna watch the video on YouTube platform. Same thing happened. Okay, yeah. Like basically people will gonna record the artifact. Okay, yeah, in my app. Okay, yeah. And they will gonna publish the artifact in my app and people will gonna listen. Okay, yeah. Why? Okay, first of all, there are multiple questions arise. Okay, yeah. Why does people will gonna record artifact? Another thing, why does people will gonna listen another people artifact? Okay, yeah. And another thing is that key, why? Okay, yeah. Like yeah, there are so many things that I should supposed to be give the answer that why is people will gonna do that thing. Well, I already give that particular answer in previous artifact so multiple times. Okay, yeah. uh, I will gonna not talk about that thing, but first of all is that key, let's just jump into the questions and try to give the answer first. Okay, yeah. So what is actually the question actually asks me? Says that key, what is actually local market need? Okay, so basically is this thing is my application is a kind of like a simply fulfilling the local people need or what? uh okay, is it fulfill that local, like basically does it people needed that? Like basically is this thing that yeah, I don't really see in the people who kind of like simply record their voice every single day. I don't really seen that. So so basically is this thing, how do kind of like a something that key like yeah, like why does like a why, like if the people don't really have any kind of like a need, then why does people will gonna do that thing? That is really good question. Okay, yeah. um okay, so first of all is that key, let me tell you one thing regarding about my point of perspective why I started recording this artifact. I'm trying to give the proper answer. First of all is that key, we are humans. Okay, yeah. And we always want to know regarding about others. Oh yeah, like this is somewhat true by the way. Like basically this thing, we are always been really curious about what exactly happened with this particular life and this life and this like that. Like, have you ever experienced this thing that ki, like a like a basically is this thing that ki, in you kind of like heard some sort of thoughts regarding about the someone who's kind of like a saying some sort of thing regarding about himself. Like example, okay, like imagine that ki, um like you are listening some sort of podcast on YouTube platform, okay, yeah, but in that particular podcast you are not kind of like a seeing his face or nothing really at all, okay, yeah, but in this podcast that particular person is kind of like a telling about his life, that ki how he went through like a breakup or things like that or something like that, okay, yeah. So like basically when you are trying to listen that particular podcast or things like that, you are literally kind of like a something connected with that thing, because might be you gonna resonate with this thing because you also went through breakup too, okay, yeah. So this is what kind of like something you resonate and you just try to listen that thing, okay, yeah. You are literally curious about this thing and you are try to listen that thing, okay, yeah. This is what kind of like a something is this thing like a in our daily life, okay, definitely we are kind of like a different people, okay, but the situation is actually happened with us is kind of like a something similar. We have kind of like a something very common problem, like regarding about relationship, career and everything. We have really common problem, okay, yeah. And everyone is kind of like a something solve those problems and things that okay, yes, most of people are actually share those thoughts in the YouTube platform, but YouTube is a kind of like a something a way that probably everything is little bit filtered out, okay, yeah. Like basically it's not thought, it's a kind of like a something that na, if you wanted to make video on YouTube platform, you have to think about multiple ways, okay, yeah. Scripting, writing and things like that. In that particular process, the thoughts will not gonna raw, it will kind of like a feel really scripted, okay, yeah. Like what if you kind of like heard something kind of like somebody a very raw thing, okay, yeah. Like basically people are talking and you just try to connect that thing, okay, yeah. Podcast is a kind of like a something a very good example that people are kind of like telling the things very raw and you just try to connect that thing. But still in the podcast, the people who are actually talking, they are kind of like talking about some certain thing, they are literally experience that. So for that particular thing you might gonna, yeah. But it's just like that na, the normal people who thinks very differently, they have multiple thoughts and multiple things and stuff like that. And other people are kind of like a somewhat something resonate with this thing because we have kind of like a something similar problem, we are facing similar problem regarding about career, relationship, family, lots of things, okay, yeah. So this is what it is, okay, yeah. So basically is this thing, yes, definitely you're gonna say that the community, the local around the people don't really need an artifact, because it's not kind of like a somebody like I don't know how to supposed to explain, okay. I'm gonna get kind of like somebody give the example, okay, so basically let's just understand the Facebook, okay, yeah. In 2005, like maybe just like 2005 Facebook was launched, but I was kind of like somebody experienced the first time Facebook in 2009, yeah, 2010 maybe, yeah, 2010, because basically is this thing, I'm living in India and broadband are kind of like a very much kind of like a very complex thing, whatever. So when I first time I experienced the Facebook in 2009, okay, yeah. And basically it kind of like a feel really good, like you just log in and basically you can found so many people around them, okay, yeah. You can connect with that, you can chat with that, you could do a lot of things, okay, yeah. Before that, it's a kind of like a something connecting to the people, it's a kind of like a something very like there is no way so that we could connect online to the friend, okay, yeah. Facebook is one of them that kind of like a do that thing first, like basically before that MySpace and Orkut was that kind of like a thing, but it was not really that vast, okay, yeah. Most of people are kind of like somebody not really using that particular platform like a MySpace and Orkut, but Facebook is one of that particular platform that everyone is started using this thing, and most of people are try to kind of like a find their friend on Facebook platform, okay, yeah. So which is kind of like a something very interesting thing, like really good, okay, yeah. So regarding about the question is that key, if the people doesn't really need it, then does your product or your service will gonna successful or not? Take an example as a Facebook, okay. Like before the Facebook, it doesn't really have any kind of like it doesn't really have any kind of like a something that people will gonna do that thing like a like at that time like a finding an online friend, like a finding a friend on online, is not exist. That term is not exist. But Facebook is kind of like a invented that. Facebook is kind of like a invented that particular technique, and it became kind of like a something really hit. So this is what exactly is it na, like a my artifact is kind of like a something act like a such a way. Okay, like a basically is this thing that ki my artifact is kind of like a something is this thing that people will gonna utilize, people will gonna listen, people will gonna try to talk their share and thoughts and things like that. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it will gonna definitely work out. Okay, yeah. But it takes time. It takes time. What do you mean by it takes time? Okay, yeah. Because it's not a kind of like a simply a visual form. Okay, what's a visual form? So let me tell you one thing. When the in the Facebook, okay, yeah, if your friend is actually upload some sort of photo on the Facebook platform, you see that particular photo, okay, yeah, and you like the photo, you comment that photo and things like that. So basically, you kind of like put the engagement into that particular photo, okay, yeah. Photo is a kind of like a some visual form, okay, yeah. But in my platform, artifact is a kind of like a simply audio form, okay, yeah. Audio form is a kind of like a simply very difficult to consume that thing, okay, yeah. It means that ki, like example is this thing, if you are kind of like a still listening this thing, that means that ki you are kind of like a high, kind of like a high, like a, you have kind of like a simply very high interest level regarding about the things that you are kind of like a wanted to hear. Like a basically is this thing na ki audio is a kind of like a something something medium that it's not visualized, okay, yeah. And basically our brain is a kind of like a something wired with a visualized thing, because we actually imagine things with a visualization. Okay, if I'm gonna say elephant, you just kind of like a something imagine as an elephant, as an elephant, you are not imagine as a ELEPHENT. Okay, yeah. So basically our brain is actually your brain is actually kind of like a imagine through visualization, okay, yeah. But in my artifact, in my app, okay, yeah, the artifact is a kind of like a simply audio form, okay, yeah. So audio form means like that na कि when you start something, okay, yeah. If you wanted to get the entire experience of that entire artifact, you just have to listen the entire thing. That means you just have to listen the almost like a 20-minute 30-minute artifact, okay, yeah, straight without any pause and things like that. So when this thing is actually happened, okay, yeah, very less people will gonna listen that thing, okay, yeah, very less people. Because let me tell you one thing, we are living in such a world where instant gratification, people are kind of like addicted to the instant gratification, like reels and things like that. People are wanted to hook very easily, okay, yeah. But artifact is a kind of like a simply way that like basically it let you bore at the beginning, okay, yeah. But it's just like that na ki if you are connected with a one particular person, you just kind of like a love that thing, okay. I don't know, but it's just like that na. My gut feeling is kind of like a telling me that he, like example is this thing, okay. um I like I'm gonna tell you my example, okay, yeah. So basically is this thing in Instagram platform, I follow the character, I follow the influencer name Kylie Jenner, okay. Kylie Jenner is a model, I follow her. Okay, I seen her photo and things like that. She looks really good and great. Okay, yeah. But it's just like that. Na, if I know more about her, then I would be really good. Okay, yeah. What if she kind of like a simply record like an artifact episode and she was kind of like telling her regarding about her life and things like that? Then I would definitely gonna listen what exactly happened with her. Like I'm not gonna I don't know about her, I don't know nothing really about her, I am not really new, because she was actually living very far away from me, and probably I don't really have any relation with her, nothing really at all. But still I was kind of like a something influenced by his fashion sense, and I wanted to know about how does she do that, like not just because of the fashion sense, but as also the everything, like what is actually life been through and everything. Like she was actually recording everything, and I'm gonna listen that particular stuff. It felt really good. So same thing happened with the artifact too. Like at the beginning now, it's a kind of like a something that you just connect with that particular creator or particular people who gonna record the artifact, and you just wants to know that what exactly happened in their life, okay, yeah. And you might gonna resonate with that particular person, you just like that particular person, but you don't really met it, you don't really seen it, you don't really knew the name and things like that, but you just like that particular person and you just want to hear about what exactly happened with her and things like that, okay, yeah. But is it stalking? Well, it's not a stalking, it's a it's not like the person who's kind of like a sharing that thing is willing to share that thing na. Okay, and as also my app will gonna prevent her name and everything, like I will gonna use my entire like algorithm to try to enter algorithm or a artificial intelligence to figure it out that she will not gonna say any kind of like a name, or if she says some sort of name, I will gonna put the beep into it so that basically people will not gonna find out her name and things like that. But rest of the things, like a rest of the story is kind of like some people will gonna heard, and that story people will gonna kind of like only resonate that thing. I don't know, it's just like I my gut feeling is kind of like telling me that ki, yes, that ki, people will gonna kind of like listen the artifact. Okay, yeah. uh, in kind of like a something the paper, it's not gonna possible, because let me tell you one thing, because of the instant gratification people will gonna not gonna kind of like only do that thing. But at the once the people will gonna start doing this thing, it was kind of like something really good. Okay, yeah. But the one of the biggest kind of like a benefit of recording, one of the biggest kind of like assembly advantages of having the artifact is recording the artifact. Okay, yeah. Because listening the artifact is a kind of like a something that key. Okay, but when you record the artifact now, it's kind of like a very different thing. Because when you record the artifact, you are not lying with yourself, you are being really honest, and you are kind of like asking you are kind of like somebody giving the answer regarding about the questions and things like that. You are being really honest and things like that. So it's kind of like a somebody you are talking with yourself, and it kind of like a improve inside of you. Okay, it takes time, by the way, it's not gonna happen just couple of day, month and year. No, it take almost like a era. Okay, like like basically 5 year, 10 year, then after you realize some sort of advantage inside of you. So yes, so it will take time. Okay, yeah. So regarding about the question says that how do I supposed to kind of like a something like that, how do I supposed to make my app for kind of like a some local area need or things like that. How do I supposed to execute in this app? Well, probably there is a one thing. Okay, first of all, even if I make the app and things like that, okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure that people will gonna record the artifact. Like people will not gonna record the artifact. It's nothing. It's a like basically this thing when I started recording artifact, na, it took me almost like a 6 months to be a regular. Okay, yeah. And as also is this thing for me is kind of like everything is kind of like a something very essential thing, because at that time I was really alone and things like that, and that time I wanted to record the artifact. Okay, yeah. But somewhat something happened, and basically it took me like a some at the beginning I was kind of like a taking a lot of gaps, like a today I did it, and after today I record the artifact. So basically is this thing now, it is kind of like something very difficult to me to kind of like something being really consistent. Okay, yeah. So same thing happened with the people too. Like if I make a app and if I try to convince them so that people will gonna record the artifact, they will not gonna record the artifact. Nothing really at all. So what is actually tactics? Like what is actually stuff that I should supposed to be do to kind of like attract the local market or attract the kind of like a something the target audience. Okay, first of all, what is actually my target audience? Okay, so my target audience is a kind of like a somebody young teenage person. Okay, yeah. I'm young teenage means like that ki basically like after the 14 or 16 maybe, yeah. I don't know, like basically artifact is a kind of like a somebody very kind of like a for a kind of like a somebody very matured people. I don't know, it's not really, I don't know, like I don't really have, but still what is actually my target audience? I think that my target audience is from at the age of 18 to forward. Okay, like basically like from 18 to rest of the things. Okay, but if I'm gonna say very target, like a very focused people will gonna record, is that from 18 to 30 or 35 you, yeah 18, like from the age of 18 to 35 you kind of like a somebody age range of people will gonna kind of like a record the artifact. Okay, why? Because of that, in this particular age, like in this particular like basically in 20s era, okay, we are kind of like been through multiple stages in our life. Okay, yeah. In 20s means like that ki, yeah, at the age of 21 to 23 to, yeah, so in 20s we've been through multiple stages, like complete our graduation, like we done your school, then we complete the college, then we are kind of like a went to job, then we fall in love with someone, we are getting married with someone. So basically all the crucial decisions actually happen in our 20s. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing that ki in our 20s now, um, we don't really have any peace. We are always how kind of like a moving and things like that, and we really require a kind of like a some sort of breathing space. Okay, yeah. And for that particular thing, I might think that ki artifact is will gonna give you that breathing space, but it will not gonna happen just kind of like a somebody just just kind of like a somebody just now, no, on a day, nothing really at all, it takes time. Oh yeah, but first of all, this is my target audience. Okay, yeah, like from the age of 18 to 35 is a kind of like a somebody my target audience. Okay, yeah. Now another thing is that ki how do I supposed to convince them to record the artifact? How do I like basically, even if I say like basically it gives you kind of like a so many good thing, like it gives you so many advantage and things like that, will gonna people will gonna record the artifact? Well, definitely not. Even if I'm kind of like saying this thing, it adds so much value and things like that, it will not gonna do this thing. Okay, it nothing really at all. So how do I supposed to convince the people so that they will gonna record the artifact? um Probably is this thing, instead of convince them, I have to be influenced. Okay, yeah. And how do I supposed to influence them? Well, first of all is that ki, let me focus my target audience, as I mentioned, from 18 to 35, but my super kind of like a somebody super like a deep targeting is that key from 20s. Okay, like basically from at the age of 20 to 30. Okay, yeah. So these are my kind of like a somebody deep target. Okay, yeah. So these are my deep target. Okay, yeah. And how do I supposed to execute? Like first of all, deep target like from at the age of 18, sorry, at the age of 20 to 29. These are my deep target. Okay, yeah. And at the beginning, I mostly kind of like a target to the male audience. Okay, yeah, male and female, but mostly I'm gonna go through male. Why male? I'm belong to the India. Oh yeah, like first of all, I just have to target my local market. In my local market, India is a local market. In the local market, the most of the kind of like internet user are male as compared to female. Like basically, the in internet penetration in India is kind of like a very variable. Like basically, almost like a 70% of the male are using internet, as compared to female are almost like a maybe like a 30 or 35% maybe, yeah. Like a very less female are kind of like a using, but still that number is growing. Okay, a number is growing, but I don't really have a kind of like an exact number, but still what I'm saying this thing that ki the number of people are using internet are male are more than female. Okay, yeah. So basically my deep targeting is that from the age of 21 to 29, male specifically. All right, these are my deep targeting. Now, regarding about how do I supposed to convince them to record the artifact? Well, first of all, is that they will not gonna record the artifact at the beginning. Okay, yeah, first of all, it's not. Okay, yeah. They just have to listen the thing. Okay, yeah, means like that they have to listen kind of like something artifact. So how do I supposed to how do I like basically if there is no one people will gonna record the artifact, then who will gonna listen the artifact? Like there is no nothing really exists. So I have kind of like a thinking about one strategy, but I don't know how to I but it's okay. So what is really that strategy? Okay, so what is actually is this thing that first of all is that at the beginning of this thing, I don't really have any artifact to showcase in my platform. So first of all is that I just have to do kind of like a something very dirty technique. Okay, is it dirty technique? I'm not really sure, but okay. So what would I supposed to do is that I have to go to a college. Okay, yeah, and kind of like a meet a female person. Okay, female student and things like that. Since from the age of 20 to 29. Okay, female person. Okay, yeah, and I have to convince them. Okay, yeah, ki like personally I have to convince them that key you have to be record your artifact, and these are kind of like a some questions that you have to give the answer. Okay, yeah. At the beginning I have to give them help, kind of like a very practical help, means like that ki if there is a girl who kind of like convinced that ki she will gonna record the artifact. So basically what should I supposed to do is that ki first of all she has a mobile phone, yeah, that is okay. She will gonna download the app. Okay, yeah. And basically I will tell her that ki go to the rooftop or kind of like a something like such a place where you will like no one will gonna hear you. Okay, yeah. And these are some of the questions. Okay, you have to give the answer. Okay, yeah. First of all is that you shouldn't supposed to be say your name, just kind of like a somebody that tell your experience, like basically in this particular question they have kind of like a question is that at the beginning I have to use such a question so that it would lower the, like it would kind of like a somebody attract to the male user. Okay, yeah. So how do I supposed to attract the male user? To ask something little bit of explicit question, means like that ki like a girl, like basically I convince to a girl. Okay, yeah, practically, yeah, practically. Okay, I have to convince a kind of like a only bunch of girls from the age of 20 to 29. Okay, yeah, I have to be target almost like at least 15 girl, 50 50 50 50 girl. Okay, yeah. And I have to give them kind of like only questions. Okay, what are those questions? A question means like that ki what is exactly kind of like a, how do you feel when you first time you had a kiss with someone else? Okay, yeah. Like this kind of like many questions. Okay, yeah. In this particular question you have to kind of like express your experience. Okay, you shouldn't supposed to be kind of like somebody say your name and things like that, nothing really at all. You just have to tell your kind of like some experience. Even if you kind of like said some sort of name and things like that, my algorithm is kind of like a try to prevent that thing, try to add a beep into that particular thing. So yeah. Okay, like this is the first question. Another question is that ki what is actually experience when you had a first time in a sex? Okay, what is actually experience, things like that. Okay, yeah. Then kind of like a relationship advice, like a what kind of like a somebody boy that you recommend to be kind of like a what kind of like a boy that you think that kid would be kind of like a somebody my boyfriend, or what kind of like a first thing that you look it in the boy. Okay, when you see the first time. Okay, yeah. So basically I'm gonna ask such a question so that people like mostly the my target audience is that from the age of 20 to 29, these are my target audience, male. Okay, these are kind of like attracted and they are wanted to hear that thing that what is actually girl she was saying this thing. Okay, yeah. By the way, the profile, like basically the girl who kind of like saying this thing, mostly she has a handle in my platform. Okay, yeah. And that platform, like that handle is kind of like something real, by the way. Okay, yeah. Like basically is this thing, if she wanted to kind of like somebody continue this handle, she could do this. Okay, yeah. Then I will not gonna provide the kind of like a practical help. She will gonna kind of so kind of like somebody saying some sort of stuff. But yeah, but one of the first thing that I should supposed to do is that I have to be convinced at least 50 girls, okay, to record their artifact. Okay, for that particular purpose, if I have to give them some sort of money, then that is okay. But yeah, like basically is this thing, her privacy should supposed to be kind of like a somebody you take care, like the privacy shouldn't supposed to be kind of like a somebody evaluate, nothing really at all, just do the thing. Okay, yeah. So if I do that particular thing, then what is gonna happen, that the most of the male user will gonna listen that thing. Okay, and when they listen, as also like basically is this thing, I this experiment is not only do for the kind of like somebody just for girls, like basically I have to add multiple boys too. Like basically if I'm gonna say that I have to be convinced at least 50 girls and at least 20 boys. Okay, yeah. So that they will gonna record the artifact. Okay, I'm gonna give them kind of like somebody questions that it kind of like somebody, the question is literally interesting, so that they would kind of like somebody listen that thing, like my target audience will gonna listen that thing. Okay, yeah. So when they listen, they will gonna kind of like somebody resonate that thing, and they wanted to kind of like somebody try to use this particular app. Okay, they will at the beginning they will kind of like somebody started recording the artifact and things like that. But also another thing na ki the people who are kind of like something like the people that I am trying to convince, those people like basically 50 women and 20 boys, almost like 70 people, I have to convince them to record the artifact, and as also said some sort of stuff regarding about my app, like basically this app will kind of like somebody giving freedom to the speak and things like that. Okay, yeah, like basically I have to do this thing so that the people who my target audience will kind of like listen that thing, and they might gonna kind of like something said some sort of stuff. Okay, yeah. By the way, the experience that they mention in the artifact is very real. Okay, they are real. Okay, they are real. Okay, so yeah, this is what kind of like a like basically, is it wrong? No, like why would I supposed to do that? It's a wrong technique. Well, I don't know. Okay, at this moment, I think this is the technique that I know. But in the future, I might find a kind of like a, simply another technique to attract the people will gonna record the artifact. Then I'm gonna use that technique. But I don't know. Okay, I don't really like in the future, if I'm find any kind of like a simply a technique so that my deep target people are kind of like a simply attract towards the artifact and they will gonna record their artifact. Then yeah, so yes, so basically is this thing for the kind of like assembly, uh, how do I supposed to kind of like assembly target or align my idea to the local market needs is market means like that ki my target audience. Okay, yeah, my deep target audience is male from at the age of 20 to 29. Okay, these are my deep target audience. Okay, as well as male and female too. Okay, yeah, but basically is this thing, the penetration of internet, male our user are really higher numbers, so probably I have to focus on that. But still, okay, yeah, but for there are multiple things now. I don't know what will gonna happen, but like there are things that I have to figure it out. But I don't know this strategy will gonna work or not. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. Okay, whatever. So this is it. This is then I'm trying to figure it out, how do I supposed to execute my app and things like that. So that's why this kind of like somebody asked this question to uh, try to figure it out that will I be able to do this thing or not. I don't know, but just figure it out, find out. All right, this is it. Thank you.